So, in today's video, let's talk about something that is, I don't want to say plugging the world right now, because if you think of a plug, it just makes that sound more ominous than it is. But let's talk about how do you communicate your needs properly in a politically correct world. Okay? Let me break this down. We are living at a time where it's very fashionable to be an activist for literally any cause. We are living in a world where it's very fashionable to agree with the popular opinion. We are living in a world where people don't take time to develop their own opinions or to think through things anymore. We just get our opinions off Twitter, we just get our opinions off Facebook, we just get our opinions off Instagram, and whatever that is trending, hey, we are going with it. And let me put a disclaimer right here. I'm not saying that it's wrong to stand for a cause. I'm not saying that it's wrong to be an activist. I'm not saying that it's wrong to stand for something that you believe in. Far from it. I am quite a staunch activist when it comes to things that I believe in. The only thing that I mean is, in your pursuit and in your stand for justice and in your standing for these causes, let it be based on knowledge, let it be based on truthfulness, let it be based on convictions, let it be based on genuinely standing for something, not for clout, not for appreciation, not for people to clap hands for you, not to convince the whole world that you're a good person because you're trying to run away from your personal problems, but because you are actually convicted and you actually believe in something. The problem with moral posturing and standing for everything that's topical is when we make ourselves alliances to these particular causes, when we make ourselves stand for something that we don't necessarily believe in, what happens is we leave ourselves with unmet expectations, we leave ourselves with unmet needs, unfulfilled expectations, because it's become very difficult for us to stand for what we want, what we need, what we expect. It's more topical and more convenient to stand for a cause. So how do you actually develop your individual opinions? How do you develop the ability to speak your expectations, your needs, and actually stand for what you want without necessarily bowing down to ideologies, without necessarily picking a side? Just being truthful and living a life that is convicted. We are going to talk about that today. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Petronella Mnenza. I'm an author, I'm a consultant, I'm a speaker. My book, From Gawker to Oxford, The Girl Who Dared to Dream, is available on Amazon. Please do get a copy. And hopefully we'll be having 2 more coming soon. You know, initially I was optimistic that they are coming very soon, but you know, at this point we're just saying, let it be. So in today's video, I want to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, something that I have observed a lot of times, and it's something that I have hinted on in different videos, but I've never actually dedicated a video to it. And it is, how do you remain truthful to what you believe in, and how do you stand for causes from a position of truthfulness and convictions? Because let's face it, you know that friend, you know that person who they can never do any wrong. They stand for every popular climate justice movement going on. They stand for every feminist movement going on. They literally stand for every trendy thing that's going on, to the point that they actually deny themselves what they want. I have friends who are in relationships with people, but they can't actually communicate what they expect without coming off as being against the movement. For instance, I have Christian friends who were raised in Christian homes, who understand relationships and marriages to function in a particular way that involves respect and terms like submission that I'm not comfortable with, but that's a conversation for another day. So they are raised in homes where they think that this is the norm, and they meet people who are for for movement that is against that. And for them to get the approval of that person, to win that person's attention, they have to start supporting the similar cause to look cool and to look like they're progressive, to look like they're liberal. And in the process, they ignore this very fundamental part of them that expects this from a relationship, that expects this from a marriage, because it's not cool, it's not progressive. What happens? This person who is very, very progressive marries this person who is acting progressive, who is saying all these things because they sound cool. Those two people meet, they start a relationship, they start a marriage, and what happens? There are unmet needs, unmet expectations, because this person thinks that a marriage should be this person thinks that, and no one tells the other person, because dare they say that I want more home cooked meals, or dare they say that I want this, they will be labeled unprogressives. So in a world like that, where people are having their needs unmet in relationships, where people are having their needs unmet at jobs because it's not politically correct to speak what's against, how do you learn to find your voice? How do you become your own person? How do you become authentic from a position of being grounded, not from a position of going with the word God and following what's trending? The first thing that I need you to know is character is best and is developed on convictions. So the first starting point is find out what you believe in life, okay? Personally, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in the whole shebang. I'm a Christian. I believe that there is life after this. That's who I am. And I am so clear on what I believe in. And here's the catch. I am not saying that what I believe in, I have to force down on everyone's thoughts, or that it's more correct than anyone else. No, I know that it's what I believe in, but I test it out. I have read books that have been written by people who are in different religions than me. I have read the Quran. I have read the teachings of Buddha. I have read a lot of things to try and understand worldviews that are different from me. So when I disagree with a person, I'm not doing it from a position of, oh, I just don't like you because you don't believe the same things that I do. I'm doing it from a place of knowledge. So I will say, you know what, this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it. Ergo, I don't agree with me. I don't agree with you. Let's have a conversation. So what that means is, before you actually start following anything, before you actually start hopping on the trend of anything, actually test out your convictions. Know who you are. Be grounded. Stand for something. It's heartbreaking to meet people who literally don't stand for anything. Have you noticed how people are quick to turn on people on the internet or stuff like that? 1 minute they are this person's fan, they're this person's die-hard fan, ride or die and stuff like that. The minute something goes wrong, they literally do a 360. They don't even recognize this person anymore, because our knowledge and our appreciation and our value of people is based on us morally posturing and trying to be what we are not. So if you actually have convictions and have principles that define you as a person, then you are grounded. You can't be swayed left or right by noise or by trends. You can actually change your opinion based on knowledge. There are some things that I'm quite strongly opinionated on. This doesn't mean that if I find someone who sees something different ways, it's not impossible to change my mind. I can change my mind. As I'm growing, I have changed my mind on a lot of things. There are some things that I was so set on a few years back that I absolutely see different now, because I'm growing, I'm evolving. That's life. And because my character, my relationship with the world is based on convictions, I am not resistant to change, and you can't sway me either direction. So before you actually go out and move with everything that's standing, actually know why you are doing it. If you want to live a miserable life, if you want to live a very unfulfilled life, live a life of following trends, live a life of following what's trending. If you cannot be honest about your expectations, what happens is you develop bitterness. What happens is you feel cheated. What happens is you have unmet expectations and you are just a bitter person. Look, if you want to see what I'm talking about, look at the relationships of the people that you know. Look at people's jobs. We are living in a time where it's very difficult to simply say, I want something. We are living it at a time where it's very difficult to say, I don't want something. We are living at a time where you were forced to agree with everything, where you're forced to be positive about everything, to not offend people, which is virtually impossible. The moment you start thinking, you risk offending someone, because when you think, you challenge things, you question things, and that's life. And when you have your own views, be able to test them out, be able to contend with them. I have my own ideas that I challenge all the times because I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to evolve. So the key thing to remember is the world is very noisy. Everyone has opinions on everything, and those opinions are not based on knowledge or convictions. They are based on following the trends, and at the end of the day, we have bitter people, we have resentful people, we have people who have their needs unmet in relationships because we don't know how to say what we want. What I would advocate for is saying, you know what, this is how I was raised, this is how I think this should be. What do you think? How do you see this? How best can we meet our different approaches to come up with something beautiful? These are my needs, they may not be right. How do I heal? How do I sift through my expectations to get to a point where I actually am doing something that's valuable? So before you go out there denying your emotions and saying that you don't want this, you don't want this, you don't want this, not because you don't want it, but because you know that it's not cool to say that you want the particular thing, actually stand for the truth, stand for something, find your own voice, and agree with things from a position of knowledge, not from a position of people pleasing or from a position of is the trend or not. If you don't do that, you will be unhappy, you will have unmet expectations, and you will not get the fulfillment of life. Because if you're honest with what you want, you can find healthy ways of negotiating around your expectations. But if you pretend to like everything and you pretend like everyone is right, you will resent people and they won't even know that you resent them. So that's it from me today, guys. The world has become noisy, and I say this all the time. Find your voice, stand for something, actually stand for something, and have strong convictions. And hopefully we'll make the world a better place. I know this is a very controversial and touchy area. Do let me know what you think in the comment section, and let's get this conversation going.